Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Today I will be reviewing Genesis Nursery Cryme, released on November 12th, 1971, celebrating its 50th anniversary. So back when I was younger, Genesis was a really big band for me. I grew up during a time when Phil Collins was making the albums, all those albums like Avocab and Self-Titled and Invisible Touch. I listened to those a lot during the 80s, and back then I didn't really know about the whole progressive rock 70s Genesis. And I actually discovered these albums maybe not too long ago. So in this video I'm going to talk about Nursery Cryme, and you will see that they did have some really great albums from the 70s. So Nursery Cryme is their third studio album, first album with Phil Collins and Steve Hackett. So the band was a five-piece at this point. We got Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford, Peter Gabriel with Phil Collins and Steve Hackett. The album was produced by John Anthony. He was a producer. He worked with bands like Queen and many others. And this is also their shortest album at only like 39 minutes. So if you're unfamiliar with early Genesis, they were a progressive rock band, and this album has songs that are very like fantasy oriented. Most of the songs tell different stories, and the songwriting is like very complex. Sound is very like keyboard heavy. The band uses a lot of guitars as well, but they use the electric guitar and the 12-string guitar. It's kind of like a progressive, but at the same time more like a folky sound. So Phil Collins was the drummer, and he did do some lead and co-lead vocals, and I will be talking about those. So the album has 7 songs, sorry. And let me go through them. So the first one is The Musical Box. And it's the longest song, over 10 minutes. Tells the story of a young boy in Victorian times. So he accidentally gets decapitated by his friend Cynthia while they were playing croquet. And actually, the pronunciation is croquet, right? Anyway, Cynthia returns to the house and finds Henry's old musical box, and that releases the spirit of Henry. So the story goes on. It's kind of like a a dark story. You hear Henry talking to Cynthia, throughout the song. But anyway, if you look at the album cover, it kind of like shows them playing the girl playing croquet. And anyway, that's how it is. But the song is like a slow builder. It starts with quiet guitars and vocals. It picks up around the 4-minute mark, and the drums and keyboards come in. So at this point, it is kind of a hard rocker. So the song goes back and forth between the hard and light sections, and it kind of takes you onto a ride until the end. So pretty good 10-minute song. Next is a shorter song, For Absent Friends. It's an acoustic song, also the first Genesis song with Phil Collins on lead vocals. Steve Hackett plays the acoustic guitar in like a classical style. Short song, under 2 minutes. Next is Return of the Giant Hogweed, and song about a toxic plant that was taken from Russia and brought to England by a Victorian explorer. Now the story is about like a real plant that exists, but they do kind of take like a humorous approach to the whole song. Very complex keyboard heavy song with different tempo changes. Another fairly long song. At the end of the song, as the really best part, has a really cool guitar solo. After that, 7 Stones. And the song is a little slower, has a little more of like a folky tune to it. Peter Gabriel plays some like wind instruments. He plays the flute. Might remind you a little of Jethro Tull with the flute playing. Song has some signature keyboard sound. Next, Harrold the Barrel. This is probably one of my favorites. So, when I did a top 10, this was one of the songs I picked. And it's kind of like a song that has like a dark humor with a man like thinking of jumping off a building. The song has Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel doing vocals, but as a duet. So the song's a little more upbeat, has a really nice groove to it, and it's just a 3-minute song, but it's a very fun song. Next is Harlequin, another good song written by Mike Rutherford, and it's a short song, kind of has more of like a quieter, like a folky tone. And the last one is the Fountain of Salmacis. It's a Greek myth of Salmacis and hermaphroditus, and pretty cool song. They played a mellotron that's influenced by King Crimson's in the Court of the Crimson King. One of those like longer songs, has really like epic feel. If you saw some of the video clips I was showing in the beginning of the video, that was like a live version of that. And You can see Peter Gabriel playing the flute, lots of different sections, lots of tempo changes. So pretty cool song. So in conclusion, I think out of all the Peter Gabriel albums, it's probably one of the better ones. Really good introduction for somebody who was unfamiliar with that time period. You know, it's a really fun album. You know, they use some like dark humor in the lyrics. It's not an overly long album. And on the album, they were a 5-piece, so they did want to make the most of like everybody contributing. And you know, they do have lots of different instruments, lots of tempo changes. They have like a really full sound, and you know, it is mostly a keyboard-heavy album. But then again, Genesis pretty much was that type of band. But there are lots of guitar parts. So if you like the lead guitar, you got some guitar solos, some of the classical guitar, some heavier stuff. And acoustic guitars, there's wind instruments, you know, the flute, the oboe, and all this, they make it come together. So if you just like all this stuff and progressive rock, you'll probably like it. It's definitely a classic. So this weekend, some new releases. 80s hair metal band, LA Guns. Enough's Enough, there's the cover album of like Beatles and Lennon and McCartney songs, and that's probably the only 2 new releases I'll be doing. I'll also do a ranking video, which will either be Dream Theater or Metal Church. Those 2 have been a tie, you know, in my community post. And anyway, I'll also be doing a 1-year anniversary review of AC/DC Power Up, and that's all. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out some of the other videos I did in Genesis ranking and top 10 Genesis with AYBL main. So I'll put those right there. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next one.